After NATO talks in Sweden, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio arrived in India for a high-level diplomatic visit. His visit comes at a sensitive time in US-India ties, with talks expected on trade, energy, defense and strategic cooperation. As part of his India visit, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio landed in West Bengal's capital, Kolkata, where he was received by US Ambassador Sergio Gore and Joint Secretary Nagaraj Naidu. The Kolkata leg of his tour comes at a politically significant time for the BJP, which won assembly elections in West Bengal for the first time. After his arrival, Marco Rubio and his wife visited Mother Teresa's House of Missionaries of Charity. The Catholic congregation founded by Mother Teresa is dedicated to serving the poor, sick and destitute across the world. Marco Rubio paid his respects at St. Teresa's tomb and toured the place where she lived and worked. Marco Rubio also visited a children's home, Nirmala Shishu Bhavan, run by the Missionaries of Charity in the city. Wrapping up his visit to Kolkata, Marco Rubio has left for New Delhi, where he is scheduled to call on Prime Minister Narendra Modi later today. Both leaders are expected to hold talks focused on shoring up strategic, economic and energy ties. Well, tomorrow he will hold talks with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence at the US Embassy. On Monday, Marco Rubio will visit Agra and Jaipur before returning to the capital for the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting on Tuesday. The meeting, which is hosted by India, will also see participation from Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong and Japanese Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi alongside India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Ahead of his visit, Rubio said that US is ready to sell India as much energy as it is willing to buy. He has described India as a great ally and partner. Rubio's remarks are part of a broader effort by Washington to reassure India at a time when both sides are trying to manage new strategic and political differences. Rubio said Washington is ready to supply New Delhi with oil, gas and other energy resources, and the only limit is how much India is willing to purchase. India is already one of the top importers of American liquefied natural gas, but the US wants to go further. Last year, the Trump administration imposed a 50% import tariff on India, including penalties linked to India's purchase of Russian oil under US sanctions. The tariff rate was to be brought down to 18% under a tentative trade deal announced in February before the US Supreme Court scrapped the tariffs. The tariffs and US President Donald Trump's perceived closeness to Pakistan, they have caused a strain in India-US ties. Now it will be up to Marco Rubio to undo the damage. And now joining us on the broadcast is our Assistant Director for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbu. Siddhant, the timing of this visit is quite significant for India-US ties, as we were just discussing in our report as well. And it has been through a rather turbulent phase in the past 1 year. How do you reckon Rubio to attempt and mend fences here?
Well, this is a visit that is being closely watched. Now, this is a visit that has several legs, whether it's Kolkata. He started his visit from Kolkata, visiting the Missionary of Charities, or Delhi. He will be meeting the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi later today, and will be holding talks with the Indian External Affairs Minister tomorrow in Delhi. There will be a press conference as well. He finishes with the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting on Tuesday, goes to Agra and Jaipur, the Golden Triangle, the tourist Golden Triangle. But essentially, this is a visit that has many ifs and buts. We know that since Donald Trump has come in his second term, relationship with India hasn't been very well. It has been termed as the gains of the past being destroyed in many ways. It's all about insults or tariffs. In fact, just recently, Donald Trump had endorsed a post that had termed India as hellhole. So these are the insulting comments, something that, of course, many in Delhi will not forget for a long time. And while the American administration has been putting out floral posts, in fact, the US Embassy here in Delhi has been putting a lot of positive messages, many will not buy that. In fact, the big question will be on everyone's in terms of if they can reach out to Marco Rubio, will be on first the impact of the war in West Asia, because this is a war that is seen as started by the Americans, and that has had a major inflationary impact globally, including here in India. There's also the big worry over increased tilt, I would say, in many ways between US and Pakistan. We have seen how the US President Donald Trump has been terming Munir as his favorite field marshal, and in fact hosted him after the Pahalgam terror attack, which is kind of hosting a person who is essentially giving blessings to a terror attack. So that is something that, of course, has emerged as thorny issues. But US will be keen to have engagement on energy, on defense, on nuclear, especially small nuclear reactors.
Absolutely, Siddhant, and we'll continue to closely track the developments. But we also understand that ahead of the visit, Rubio had, said the US is ready to sell energy to India, and the cap is on how much India is willing to buy because of this, inflationary reaction that we've seen on the world because of the West Asia conflict, which continues to loom large on any geopolitical engagement that we're witnessing at this point. But also the Quads meeting, which is another important aspect of his visit. What do you think is going to be agenda, and what should we be looking out for in that?
Well, energy has been an important pillar of the relationship, and the Americans, of course, want India to buy more energy. There have been consignment of energy, crude and LNG coming from United States, but there is, of course, the question of the energy cost as well, coming from a large distance, including, of course, the fact that India has been scouting other places to get energy. But other than that, focus will also be on technology, also on the Quad as well. He's primarily here for the Quad foreign ministers meeting, but many believe that Quad hasn't done very well. In fact, Donald Trump hasn't even uttered the word Quad since his second term started. We know that Donald Trump was one of the strong votary of Quad in his first term, and it was in many ways elevated during his first term at a level that led to later on the summit level engagement. But the big question is, will the summit happen? Because last year the summit, which was due to happen in India, could not happen, and primarily it's because of Donald Trump's reluctance to travel to India. Will he travel to India this year is the big question. Increased rapprochement between Beijing and Washington is something that is being closely watched here in Delhi. Also, the fact that there is focus on defense relationship, which continues to build up. We have seen high-level officials, military officials traveling from India to United States. This people-to-people relationship as well. There's a big diaspora in the United States, but the big question is on the racism aspects many have been facing. There are also the questions over the strong stance taken on immigration that, of course, impacts large number of Indians, including skilled Indian workers as well. We know that many illegal Indians have been brought, deported, repatriated to India. We have seen flights, including military flights, they being taken in shackles to India. So there are more controversies right now than convergences or positive aspects in the backdrop of Marco Rubio's India visit.
Right, Siddhant, and we'll have to wait and see how this visit goes and if it's able to answer any of these concerns that you've raised. But for now, thank you so much for getting us those details.